fashion designers. We do product development, patterns, samples. We source fabrics. We'll help with branding, social media. And as always, if you're looking to get in contact with me, you can contact us through Makers Row. We've got a profile on Makers Row, as well as, let me go ahead and pin this comment, as well as embark.live, which is a new community for experts that Makers Row has started. So they'll have all these experts that you guys can get a hold of. You can hire us through that platform. And yeah, so there's Makers Row. If you're not familiar, it's a really amazing place to find vendors, fabric vendors, manufacturers, all domestic, as well as now embark.live, which is a great place to find experts to help you along the way. They've got like lawyers and marketing experts and just a ton of people that you can look to hire when you need help. You can always schedule a strategy session with me. Those are complimentary, 20 minutes. So yeah, that's it. That's the spiel, who I am, Makers Row, embark.live. Today, we're talking about communicating with your manufacturer. So if any of you have been through this process, you know that communication with your factory is really, really important. And there's a few ways that you can ensure the communication is understood. So I put together some points today on things that you can do to make sure that your manufacturer not only understands what you're trying to communicate to them, but will have it in writing to follow through on. Now, a lot of designers will ask me, will a factory sign a contract? And a lot of factories will not sign contracts, and you might be running into that. It's really difficult for them. A lot of times when the factory, if you go to them and you have a huge contract and all of this information and deadlines and just a lot of hoops that they have to jump through, they can sometimes see that as a red flag, that you might be a challenge to work with. And you don't want to give the manufacturer any inclination that you're going to be a challenge to work with, because as a new designer, when you're first working with a factory, you're not going to be their largest client, right? They're investing in your future. They're looking at your product and they're saying, yes, I think that this designer will be successful, and I'm going to help them with their first season because I believe that they're going to be coming back for a second season, which will be larger than their first. So you want to just keep that in mind when you're working with a factory, that initially they've got a lot of larger clients that they've built over the years, 10, 15 years, where they're doing larger productions, 500, 1,000, maybe in 5,000 units for. And when you're coming as a new designer, and let's say you only want to have 50 or you only want to have 200, it's a partnership. You and the factory is a partnership more so than you're hiring them. They don't make a ton of money on those smaller production orders. So it's really important that you're willing to work with them and have a relationship with them that works out for both of you guys. And part of the way that you can get those things in writing without having those scary contracts that a lot of manufacturers will shy away from is to make a perfect tech pack. So if you come to a factory with your tech pack ready and with your samples perfect, that shows them that you are serious about doing a production. It's also difficult to have them quote off of sketches alone. If you haven't done any work, they can't really quote if they don't know what kind of fabric you're using, or if it's going to be buttons or zippers or interfacing or lining. All of those things will determine how much the production will be and how difficult it's going to be for them. So prior to that, that's why companies like mine exist, because we'll help you get to the point where you're ready for a manufacturer. We're going to help you source your fabrics and get your tech pack together. Does this need to be aligned? Get your technical sketches put together. We help you get to the point where you're ready for a factory. Manufacturers, and I've said it before, most domestic manufacturers want to cut and they want to sew, and then that's it. They don't want to educate the designer around what you need in order for them to give you a production. They want you to already know. They want you to be prepared. They want you to make their job as simple as possible because, like I said, they're not making a ton of money off of you when you're doing a smaller production. They're investing in your future for the next season when you're making twice that. So having a tech pack, that's the universal language for the factories. So it's a written communication around what you are expecting your production to be. It will have your bill of materials. It will have your grading rules. It will have the colorways that you're ordering. It'll have the measurements of your garment and your construction details. So all of this goes into your tech pack, and this will show the factory that not only are you clear with what you want, you're clear in how you're communicating it to them. So they always have this tech pack to go back to. And what this works as is your contract for what you're expecting your production to be. So let's say that you have the measurements of your garment, and this shoulder measurement is, I don't know, what is that, 6 inches. If your shoulder measurement comes back and it's 7 inches, and you can bring the manufacturer back to the tech pack to say this was supposed to be 6, it's noted in my tech pack, this is outside of my tolerance, then they have to fix it. If you don't have that tech pack, then they have nothing to go off of for you to say this is what I was expecting. So having your tech pack and using this universal language is really, really important for communicating with your factory. Anytime you do an alteration, so if you are doing your patterns and samples, you want to make sure that all of your alterations to your patterns are on your tech pack. It should have all of the changes recorded on the tech pack. Like if this was going to be 6 inches and you're like, actually, I want to make this 7, that's recorded in the notes in the tech pack. So if you do a top of production, or if you do a size check run, or anything before you do your production, right? So before you do your entire production with a factory, you'll want to make sure that you've done either a top or the size check run. Now, what's the difference between a top or a size check run? Top is one of your units sewn up to be confirmed off before the production. Now, trick is all of your garments have already been cut. So when you go to do your top of production, you can no longer make any changes to your patterns. Let's say you do the top of production, you do a fitting, and then you have that fitting and it doesn't fit right. It's too late. All of your pieces for your production have already been cut. So that's a way that you avoid a sample fee, is by doing this top, because they cut everything before they go into production. They're going to sew up one and have it confirmed. Prior to maybe doing your top, you'll want to do your size check run. So your size check run, if you've done just your samples and you've done a size medium, before you do production, you'll want to make sure that you've seen an extra small, and you'll want to be sure you've seen an extra large, or whatever your other sizes are. So you'll have your factory do your size check run. And in your size check run, they're only doing one large, one extra small. They're not cutting your entire production, but you do get charged a sample fee, because if you're doing anything less than their MOQ, which normally depends on the factory, it could be 25 units, it could be 50 units, it could be 100 units, whatever that is, if you do anything less, you're going to be charged a sample fee. So after the alterations, just make sure that you note everything. So the factories, they're going to say, yeah, we got it. Write everything down, submit it to them, confirm off on it. So have everything in writing as well as verbal communication, because that's what's working as your contract as you're moving through the things like alterations, or what are you ordering, what are the colorways, how is this to be sewn together. Everything that you can have in writing to submit, the more organized you can be, the better. So the other tip I have is to be short and sweet with your manufacturer. So make sure that you're clear. Don't bog it up with a ton of details. Like, make sure that you have everything like point blank. This is what I need. This is how I need it. They're not in the position to, a lot of factories, some will work with you on what you should be doing in regards to fit or anything like that, but most of them want you to tell them what to do. They want you to provide them with direction. They're not really in the business to be educating the designers. They just want to cut and they want to sew. Again, that's where my company comes in. I'm all about educating you guys and working with you so that you understand what you need to do in order to communicate with your factory. And, I will spend the time with you to make sure that you understand what you're ordering and what you should be ordering, and give suggestions and, what's trending and what will sell the best. Like, I'll take that time, but the factory, like I said, they only charge you for the cut and the sew. Therefore, that's all that they want to focus on. Another tip that I want to share with you about communicating with your manufacturers: always know, what do they like to drink? Do they like cupcakes? What's their favorite candy? Because you want to be checking up on your production when your production is on the line. So let's say that they tell you it's going to be 8 weeks for your production to be completed. Now that 8 weeks will not start until you have delivered everything they need for that production. Right? So that means your labels, that means your lining, your buttons, your snaps, your zippers. They need everything that they're going to need for the production, because if they put it on the line and they have to pull it off for any reason, you get pulled out of the queue. And then they put someone else's because they can't afford, let's say that they don't have a button or they don't have a zipper, and they can't afford to they set up the line so that multiple sewers are working on your production at the same time. And if they have to stop for any reason, they can't have the entire row or, however many sewers wait for you to deliver that zipper or that button or the lining, whatever that is. So they take everything off of the line and they'll put somebody else on. And your stuff will not go back on until whoever they've bumped up ahead of you is complete. So you want to make sure that you have everything that you need and that you know when your production is going to start. Just because they told you 8 weeks doesn't mean they're sewing it for 8 weeks. They're building it into their timeline. And if if they love brownies or if they love chocolate chip cookies, everyone in Vmora loves cupcakes. Everyone knows that. So if you stop by with that little treat, they're going to be more excited to see you. It works. Bringing them a treat or something sweet or a bottle of Jack Daniels or whatever it is that they enjoy, it's just a nice gesture. And then to be able to just check in on your stuff while it's on the line. You want to be sure that you do that at least once. Something I always say is you wouldn't drop off your child at kindergarten, pick them up from high school, and expect them to have grown up the way that you want him to. Same thing with your production. You'll want to check in on it and bringing some sort of kind gesture to your factory, isn't going to hurt. So there you have it. Those are some tips for communicating with your manufacturer. Just be sure, just knowing that, unfortunately, it's not your manufacturer's job to stay organized. As much as we would love them to be as organized as possible, a lot of the factories, they just have a lot of clients. They have a lot of buttons being delivered and fabrics and linings. Sometimes they could be working with 50 people at the same time, of like people coming and going, and, you know, shipments being shipped. And, you know, the more organized you can be, the better. Organize your production, creating a tech pack, having your bill of materials, making sure everything arrives, checking in on packages when the factory gets them to let them know, this is my lining, let's put it with the rest of my fabrics. But just working really closely with your factory and realizing that this is the most important relationship that you're going to have as a new designer, is with your factory. So you'll want to do everything that you can in order to communicate with them as best as possible. And I hope these tips helped you. Again, I'm Anna Livermore from Vmora, and you can contact me through Makers Row. Let's see, I pinned where you can contact me through Makers Row. We've got a profile if you were to search Vmora. Also through the new community of embark.live, if you're looking for experts to help you through your line. So we will see you next time, and thank you so much. Oh, does anyone have any questions? I forgot. Q&A. Let me check. Okay. Embark Live, they've posted in the comments on the Instagram. Follow us here and you can learn more. We've got more experts just like Anna, so they've got a ton of experts on their platform. You can browse, you can hire people directly through the Embark, so it's a really good platform for anyone that's looking to launch. Okay. Can you help me get started? Well, first you said, can you help me? I'm glad you clarified. Can you help me get started? Absolutely. So that's what I do. I do for designers that are brand new, and like you're just overwhelmed and you have no idea where to start, how to start, where to go. I do a coaching program. So we have a curriculum of all the things you'll need to know as a designer: budget, costing, timeline, fabric sourcing. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to overwhelm you guys, but there is a lot that goes into it. And they have a coaching program where I help you move through what has to happen even before you do your pattern making and your sample making. So I have a system and a program and a curriculum and templates and checklists and all the things to make it easy for you. So like I said, you can contact me through Makers Row or Embark Live, and we can talk about the one-on-one coaching. Jessica, I requested you. I can probably help. Looks like there's Unbuttoned Official. Thank you for that. Is there anyone else that has any questions about working with your factory? I'm starting a children's line, sizes 0 through 24 months. What do you suggest in terms of inventory with so many sizes? I've read conflicting things, but based on your typical small, medium, large. So I am a firm believer in just creating, depending on your budget. Like obviously if you have a larger budget, you can spend more on your production. You can make larger units, larger productions. So I say, if you're telling me you're going to create 2,000 units, you want to have a rather large marketing budget in order to let people know about your project and about your production and Instagram and all of those things. So I like to keep the production smaller in the beginning so you can test the market, and really like the only way you're going to find out what your most popular sizes are is by selling those sizes. What are people buying? Usually, in women's wear, you can kind of base off of like, I think my customer is going to be more the small or medium, but in children's wear, it's not that predictable. So I would just try and break out your sizes evenly between the size 0 to 24 months and see. But again, like your clothing designs might be more like based on babies' clothes than it would be on toddlers. So kind of just trying to think about who your customer is and where you think it'll be your most popular sizes will be. But again, it's a guess. There's no right answer for you. And you won't know until you actually launch. So that's why I say do light on all the sizes to find out what your customer is buying and what they're wearing, if that makes sense. So there's no like right or wrong answer for this. And when I'm working with children's wear, we just break out the sizes evenly and then launch, and then we find out, is it more the larger sizes, those 12, 24, or is this more babies? Do you have an example of your curriculum? Absolutely. You are welcome. So yes, if you want to contact me to to get a curriculum, we have 12 courses. It covers everything: costing, budgeting, marketing, photo shoot, just everything that you're going to need within the 12 weeks. So you can reach out. For a 19 to 21-year-old female college student, do you think most will be extra small and small? I do, yeah. If you're doing a 19 to 21, they're the smaller sizes typically than the large and the extra large. Good conversation. Please save this live. Yes, we always do. So you can view it on Instagram, on Makers Row. You can also view it on their Facebook. So you guys can see it again and watch it and take notes. Do you have raw materials shipped to the manufacturer or collect them and then bring them? Okay, so preferably, yes, because yes, you would have all of your materials shipped to the manufacturer. Because if it's going to, depending on where you live, right? Like if your factory's in New York and you live in New York, you may want to, like with Vmora, we have everything but, if it's going to be 100 yards of fabric, we have that delivered to the factory. But the buttons, the labels, anything that's smaller, we have delivered here. We round it all up and we bring it to the factory and then, identify the fabric. We check in on the delivery. We make sure that they know what client that's for. But if it's if it's anything bulky that costs a lot for shipping, if you shipped it to yourself and then the factory, you're going to be paying a lot for that shipping. So it should just be shipped directly to the factory. Have a note on it, what this is whatever your designer name is, and then make sure you have a tracking so that you can call the factory and say, hey, I saw my package arrived. Just wanted to make sure you knew that was for me. And if you can also add in there, and I saw that it was signed by Mr. Chen. So I know you've got it and Mr. Chen signed for it. I just wanted to confirm. So if you can have a tracking and who signed for it, that is key, because a lot of times they get a lot of shipments in and they might say, no, we didn't get it. But if you can say, oh, well, I see that it was signed by Mr. Chen. So, you can either ask Mr. Chen directly, but I see that it's arrived and that it's been signed for, and then they will find it because you have proof of the delivery. You are welcome. All right. Yeah, you guys are so welcome. All right, so thanks for joining, and we will see you next time. Stay connected with Makers Row and with Embark Live for what events they have, what's coming up, and who they're highlighting on their Instagram Live and Facebook. All right, thanks, you guys.